I do what I want. You might think I'm your guest, but I am chaos.
On that note, good evening. Welcome to Drinkshares. This is episode 8. We have a very special guest, which is Elan Samuel, who runs the Warbler. He is a person that is not only part of... I'm sorry?
It's a blog.
Yeah, it's a blog.
I mean, for people who don't know, we might have... I mean, I know it's famous, but we might have people who don't know.
You want to do the intro, Kara?
What? Sorry, go ahead.
So, like I said, like Kara said, Elan runs The Warbler, which is a blog for books, just in case you needed specification. Elan is joining us because not only does he run The Warbler, but he also is a writer on Inkshares. And tonight's topic is we're going to be talking about relaunching. And what that specifically means is once you launch a campaign on Inkshares, you try to put your book out there. Maybe it doesn't go as well as you'd hoped, something goes wrong, you don't sell enough copies, or for some reason you have to back out, or hey, maybe you did sell enough copies and then suddenly you have to stop the process for one reason or another. There's a multitude of reasons why you would have to stop your campaign or backtrack, and then eventually you would want to relaunch later. So tonight, I just got back from a trip, and because it's on my mind, my secret question tonight for you guys, as we were talking about writing, and we have people from all across the country now, because Elan is joining us from San Francisco, we get Kara up in St. Paul, Christine is out by Philadelphia, and Joe is up in Milwaukee, and I live in Springfield, Illinois. So my question for you tonight is, if you could travel to one place to research and incorporate into one of your books, what place would that be? Because I just got back from Indianapolis. Not that I would want to write a book about that, but there was lots of John Green stuff, and that's kind of what inspired it for me. So we're going to start with Elan tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself and answer the secret question.
Okay, let's do that. This is my lower third.
There's nothing wrong with that.
My barely legible chicken scratch. It says Elan Samuel, The Warbler, www.thewarblerbooks.com. That's me.
That's a blog, by the way.
That's my blog.
We'll put a link in the notes.
Yes, please do.
I love you, Kara.
Well, some people might not know.
Some people are just like,
to it.
I believe that's a bird, and you are not a bird.
Yeah, if you just type in The Warbler, you're going to be like, why the hell am I going to a bird?
Like the worst SEO thing possible. Like anything The Warbler books related is like page 8, because there's a lot of birders in the world.
There are a lot of ornithologists. No, ornithologist studies. What is it?
Sounds like we should have a rivalry with...
What's a person that likes birds? I guess it would be like an ornithile.
Ornithile.
Yeah, that doesn't sound dirty at all.
Well...
I'm sorry, let's get off our ornithile tangent.
Vodka.
Ooh.
Oh, sure. Are you drinking straight vodka?
No, this is really cold water.
Okay. Way to ruin the illusion.
It is currently 80 degrees at 6 p.m. in California, so I'm pretty warm.
It was 100 today in Springfield.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, God, no.
All right, sorry, Elan.
I would like to go to Turkey. There's a project that I'm working on. It's actually in draft. It's in draft currently on Inkshares. It's called Tordekti 1694 and Other Stories. The whole purpose of the short story is this character wants to get to Turkey to go present his scientific theory to a secret society. But I've never been to Turkey, with the exclusion of playing Assassin's Creed one time. And it would be really cool to go there and be able to write a little bit more honestly about it.
I agree. I would love to go to Istanbul. I absolutely love that it's a cohesion of the ancient Greek and Roman world mixed with the Middle East.
Yeah.
And it might just be safe enough for me to go, because I know that there are lots of places in the Middle East that I would love to go. I'd love to go see Persepolis, but there's no way a white girl's getting into Iran. That's not happening.
Perhaps not right now. In the 70s, though, absolutely.
Yeah, but there's an American white girl is not getting into Iran today. So, okay, Kara.
Me? Okay. Well, hi, everyone. You probably know me from my book, She is the End, that hasn't been released yet.
Look at you.
But it's coming soon. I promise. I promise. And I would travel to, well, the reason my book starts out in Italy is because my husband has been to Italy, and he told me, like, he shared his wisdom of everything that he saw to help me write all of that. So I really see a lot of value in traveling to places that you're going to write about. So I would love to go to Italy someday, even though I've already written all that. But maybe for a future book, I don't know. I want to go everywhere.
No kidding. I agree.
Everywhere. Maybe like Argentina or Australia. Except no, Australia has huge bugs. I don't want to go to Australia.
Australia is where all the deadliest things live.
Yes. No, maybe not. Maybe not Australia. I don't know. Islands. Puerto Rico. I really want to go to Puerto Rico.
And see, that's great because you don't need a passport for that.
Right.
It's kind of amazing that you can go to like Hawaii and Puerto Rico with a driver's license.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hawaii is a state, so.
But still.
No, but like it's kind of not.
In terms of what we're used to here.
It doesn't feel like a state.
Pretty not a state in a lot of ways. But in a literal. I'm sorry. Let's keep talking about it.
Elan, I think you have a legitimate argument because I think there are a lot of Hawaiians.
I'm gonna open this beer.
I think a lot of Hawaiians would say that the way that we ended up with Hawaii would not make it legitimate for us to possess.
They consider it pretty annexed.
Yeah.
Most states don't have the possibility of voting for freedom. You know.
California secedes from the Union.
Yeah. So secession is usually a big deal, and with Hawaii, I think it's like something that could potentially be on the table at some point.
That'd be nice. Give them their land that we took from them.
All right, Karen, did you get everything else that you needed to?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and I just wanted to let everyone know that my family is sick tonight, so I may have to leave early.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. We know how hard it is for you to have. Well, because you're sick yourself too, right? You're not just a little.
No, I'm the only one that's healthy.
You're the only healthy one. So that's even worse.
Everyone in my household is sick.
That's even worse. It's like, because if you're sick, you can be like, okay, like, we all feel like crap. But when you're the healthy one, you kind of feel like everyone's just whining.
Well, no, when they look so sad and pathetic, and they're just so little, they're little faces. Yeah, just like that. They look like you, Becky, just like that.
I like that you think that I look like an adorable 4-year-old. So.
Well, you did a cute little face.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, next.
Okay, Christine, you're next on the line. Where would you like to go?
Alright, I'm Christine Brennicky, author of 7 Shards, and I would like to go to Wales. And
To where?
To Wales.
Oh, okay.
And like maybe visit the tour and dig into some of their like history and mythology and stuff.
That would be awesome.
Joe?
Hi. How's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
My name is Joe Shaziva. I'm the author of Lost Generation. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because where I would go fits in with what I'm reading right now. Part of what I'm doing with the book right now is trying to make sure that, like, even though it's science fiction, it feels kind of authentic and lived in. So I'm looking for a lot of like real world examples of things that I can use to buffer my story. So I'm reading this book right now. It's called Detroit: An American Autopsy. Because I think there's a lot of like where I'm dealing with automation and things like that. There's a lot of parallels to what's going on in Detroit right now.
Definitely.
I don't know if I'd actually want to visit Detroit after reading this book. Nothing against people that live in Detroit right now, but I think I'd get my ass kicked. So I'm gonna read it I'm gonna visit with my imagination and by reading this book, sometimes it just goes to show that sometimes the places you need to visit for your story aren't very glamorous.
Yeah, my sister-in-law went to Haiti and Detroit, I think it was, in the same year. And she was more afraid in Detroit than she was in Haiti. And Haiti is like war-torn and, just devastated. And they were like, oh yeah, don't wear sandals when you're walking around Detroit because there are needles just lying around.
It's just like a little punji pit.
Yeah. So she was thusly terrified.
And we get that in Milwaukee. We got, I take my son to the beach, and then you'll find like a needle laying on the beach, and took him over to the other side where people actually swim, and there's just like dead fish everywhere. There was just dead fish.
Well, when the water's all filled with lead, I mean.
It's pretty rough. That beach is pretty rough. And I was thinking, oh god, this is so disgusting. I hate just like going down to the beach. Can't go down to the beach without finding a needle. And then I'm reading this book, and I'm like, Milwaukee doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
That was the bummer of going to Indianapolis. Like, we went to Madison for not WizCon. Yeah, it was WizCon, sorry. I was thinking of Wizard World because of the con that was going on in Indianapolis. Anyway, we went to WizCon in Madison, and their state capital is gorgeous. We just came back from Indianapolis.
Beautiful.
It is, especially their downtown. And
we've got like dedicated bike paths everywhere.
And you can rent stuff. Like Kara and I saw bike rentals, and Indianapolis was the same way. There's all kinds of urban renewal going on. We went to this area called Fountain Square, and there's all these old cool houses that they're refurbishing and painting these beautiful bright colors and doing decorative stuff with them. And it's like, why does Springfield suck so much ass? Like, I don't understand why we can't invest a little money when this is supposed to be the whole Abraham Lincoln, Like, we don't, unless it's Lincoln, like, unless he breathed on it, peed on it, touched it, or represented it as a lawyer, we don't care about it. So, I get frustrated. Anyway, on that tangent.
History about it, about, like, a area of the street, Abraham Lincoln defended bicycles here.
He was an advocate for bicycling.
Bicycle safety.
That's right. That's why he grew a beard.
Yeah.
Wasn't there an episode of Parks and Rec? I'm bringing us even further off tangent when I've been like, we need to get back on tangent. But remember when she wants to, like, save some land or something, and she's like, this may have had a shed on it that belonged to William Henry Harrison.
That's the lake. When
that was such a good episode.
The tech company comes in, like the fake Google company wants to come in and turn it into their retreat or their headquarters or something, yes.
And she's trying to save it by bringing up all this historical stuff.
Yeah, and doesn't she end up making it a state park? Mm-hmm. Isn't that the one that I think she turns into a state park? So
I don't know.
That's another thing.
But I apologize.
No, being in Indianapolis, we were making so many Parks and Rec jokes, it's not even funny. But, so... For those of you who this might be your first time watching, I am Rebecca Sleever, also known as Becky. I am the author of Proxy, which is currently funding on Inkshares. I am at 51 orders out of 250, but I'd rather have it out of 750, so go order now. You won't regret it. It is a wonderful addition to the DLC collection, which is going to be the last book of the 4 authors that you see here. But that being said, I think that if I could go to some place other than Istanbul in Turkey, like we were talking about a minute ago, I would absolutely love to go to Iceland. I am a huge geology nerd. I love rocks. I love volcanoes. I wanted to be a volcanologist when I was a kid. So I would love to go see the geysers and the natural features and go sit in a hot spring. And plus they eat a lot of seafood. I like seafood. So,
yeah.
But Iceland or New Zealand for the same reasons. New Zealand has a lot of really cool geology and geysers and stuff. So, I don't know how I'd incorporate it into a book, but I'd figure it out.
You'd make it work.
You'd figure it out afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be inspired. So,
Christopher in the chat says that Iceland has a penis museum.
It does.
Of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
Why wouldn't it? Yeah.
So now I made it all
there
clear.
aren't enough monuments to the penis as it is. So we should definitely give it an entire museum. I feel often that I don't see enough phalluses in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, I was just thinking that like everyday life is a penis museum.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a world where there are so few penis museums.
Yeah. There's a Pez dispenser museum near me, and I think that's basically a penis museum.
That's basic, yeah. It's phallic.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think there's a penis-shaped Pez dispenser and it like
100%.
dispenses white Pez?
Not even close to thinking anything less than that.
Yes, I'm sure that there is.
Yes, is what I mean. That whole.
Got on this topic.
Well, should maybe like Christine tell her thing or something? I don't know.
I did.
She did.
Oh, you did?
I'm going to go to
Oh,
Wales
you're right.
someday.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've
Wales
made our
is-
way all the way around. So, going back to Elan, we usually talk about what we're reading and what we're drinking for tonight. So, what's on your reading list, and what are you, what intoxicating liqueur are you enjoying tonight?
I will start with the beer that I'm drinking. It's a local brew from San Francisco, Anchor Steam. The summer wheat, because it feels like summer here right now.
And it's
It is
the
summer
start of
today.
summer. It's a solstice.
Yeah, I mean,
And a full moon. A strawberry moon.
it is
A strawberry
so
moon.
hot
Thank you,
right
Google. Raise your
Oh
hand if you knew.
yeah, I want to listen.
Raise your hand if you knew it was a strawberry moon before you got on Google today.
I'm gonna go with no.
I found it out on
Well,
Facebook.
no, I just heard it because Alex told me.
And my reading list is prodigious, and I
Good.
actually just built a small touchscreen computer that will have my reading list on it, so that next to my
Wow.
bookshelf I'll have an interactive. I'm gonna post a whole
Wow.
DIY blog about it.
Cool.
That's intense.
But
Oh my gosh.
I can't keep track of all the books that I have to read because I get books from publishers and from Audible.com, and then I have my personal to-read list, which is always gets lower and lower on the priorities list. But next to my bed right now, I have Dreams of Distant Shores by Patricia McKillop. It's this one is an arc from Tachyon Publications, also based in San Francisco, and I have not started it yet, but it's right next to me, and I will soon. I did just finally finish Ageless by Paul Inman, a fellow Inkshares author, and I really enjoyed it. I
need to read that one. I just found out that
It's very
he
good.
had parts of it, in areas that I've been to, being that I live near Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's a really interesting book because it masquerades as a book that is like an adventure spy novel and like a sci-fi, but it's not. It's like a super intense human story about loss.
Well, and it's also a book that takes place in several different locations, so it would be a perfect book for, hey, I need an excuse to travel and research this place better, because it starts in
different
Italy.
There are so many different settings. Time, the same city, what is it, 80 years apart. It's a really interesting book, and I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Paul asked me to do a special favor for him and Ageless, but I'm not going to say what it is because he hasn't released it yet. But
I'm gonna
special cool stuff for Paul this week, so I feel really special.
If you want to read
give
review
a
of it-
shout out to Right Brain and say Paul is one of the hosts of Right
Oh
Brain.
yes.
Good call. And even though they are our nemesis,
Our frenemies.
Yes.
frenemies, and our what would we call them? Yeah, I guess dance nemesis.
Yes, we have many a dance-offs.
I can't think of a better word for nemesis. So, but yes,
We're a dancing partner.
we're better at it.
We do always win.
We do. Well, it's 2 to 4, so just in quantity alone of Giphies we could pop up on Twitter.
That last one was rough.
Well, I didn't know about it until it was too late, so. All right, Christine, what are you reading and what are you drinking?
I am reading, in the listening way of reading, to Spellsword by G. Derrick.
I listened to that on my way to Madison.
I just listened to that as well. It was a lot of fun.
I'm about, I'd say, 40% into it,
Yeah.
and I'm enjoying it quite a lot.
Have you got to the part with the moles yet?
No.
There's just, it's not going to spoil anything, I promise. There's just this part where there's like a chance they're going to run into giant mole men, and I think the chapter starts, and it's one of the characters just shouting, "Fucking moles!"
Oh,
Yeah.
I might have gotten to that then. Is it just like a line or two?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like a
Okay,
quick line.
yeah.
But they're going through like a canyon, and he's like, "Fucking moles."
He has he's awesome. His books
Yeah,
are great.
it's a lot of fun.
And Kara's big fans of the whole series, so.
I am.
Yeah, I
I
need
am
to
a
read
big
Riddle
fan.
Box.
I love
Yeah,
those
it's
books. The riddle box is so good.
It's
It's even better. I would say it's better.
Should
I
I
like the riddle box most of the
get a
three of
hold
them.
of that one before reading Asteroid?
Yeah.
If you want to
Well,
read
I
them
mean-
sequentially, yeah, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
all written to be read individually as well as in a row, which is really special. Like, that requires a lot of forethought and close attention.
I read Asteroid Made of Dragons first, and
That's right.
that gave the right amount of recap so that you would understand what just happened, because they follow, like, in time, one right after the other. And so it wasn't confusing. I mean, I knew how the previous book ended because they talked about it at the beginning of Asteroid Made of Dragons, but that's fine, I know
Yeah,
I'm reading the
less
third book of the
exciting.
series first. But they're really good. Highly recommended.
Christine, did you say what you were drinking?
Not yet. Nope. I'm drinking like a pineapple punch. I've got pineapple rum, pineapple juice, pineapple soda.
Nice.
Nice.
I like your swirly straw. It's a really nice touch.
Yeah.
All right, Kara, I meant to say you because I was trying to go in the same order, so I'm sorry for skipping you. What are you drinking and what are you reading?
Well, as always, I'm drinking water. And I didn't even fill up my cup. Yeah, I should be drinking something more interesting. Do I have anything more interesting than water?
That's okay. I have a really good.
Okay.
I have a suggestion for you.
What? I should just be eating ice cream.
We'll talk about it here in a minute.
Okay.
This is what I'm drinking tonight.
Oh, okay. And I'm reading. I just started reading because they're short. A book of short stories by Nalo Hopkinson that I got at WisCon. Yeah,
That's
I bought
awesome.
it and it's signed because I bought it at WisCon and she was the main guest of honor, and she is quite prolific and well known.
Is it this one?
No, it's not. But
Really?
she has a lot of. It's a book of short stories and also some essays that she's written.
I thought I could like name drop with the best of them, but I guess.
Oh well, that's another one that like she has written a lot of stuff, a lot of really good,
This is supposed to be fantastic.
interesting, and really influential. Yeah, and this man, I read this one essay. It was a speech she gave in the wake of Race Fail '09, and it's so good and it's so perfect because it's exactly what I need to be reading right now because I'm at the point where there are some scenes that I'm writing in my book that I'm struggling to make as good as they can be and not just like preaching on a soapbox to the audience with the characters as my puppets.
Right.
And talk. But I really want to do the topics that I'm dealing with justice, and so reading this is really good. I highly recommend it.
Christine, I don't remember. Do we have an episode that we not scheduled, but that we wanted to do on
In the
themes?
works?
What's that?
I don't think so.
Because I remember
actually.
talking about like what themes do we want to include in our books or what messages do we want our books to? Because
Yeah, I think that was at one point that was thrown out as like a secret question before the secret questions were secret.
Oh, okay.
But we totally could make that an episode.
Yeah, we could do that whole episode. So because I think it's fair to say each of us have a definite. I don't want to use the word agenda because it seems very angry.
We have a perspective.
Perspective, I think,
a message to share.
So.
There's a talking about just like social justice and justice in writing. Audible sent me an audiobook recently that I reviewed on The Warbler a few weeks back called Octavia's Brood, which is a short story anthology inspired by Octavia Butler, who's well known for being a strong activist for social justice in the world of science fiction. Has written some tremendous works fueled by visions of justice and the complexities associated with justice. And the anthology is great. It features, like, LeVar Burton wrote one of the stories in it.
Oh, fantastic.
It's a really good anthology. I recommend checking it out.
That reminds me, not only did, I think every panel we were at WisCon that talked about social justice or anything like that, I mean, Octavia Butler's name was mentioned. Talking about LeVar Burton, that reminds me of really sad news, because I read in the newspaper today, when we were checking out, that the actor that played Chekhov...
I thought you were going to say LeVar Burton died.
Anton
No.
Yelchin.
And I was
Anton Yelchin died in an accident where he was run over by his own car in his own driveway.
That's
Yeah, I
awful.
know.
So
I've been pretty sad about that.
he was 27,
Yep.
which is weird because I was just talking about the 27 Club the other day, so now I feel like it's my fault.
What does that have to do with LeVar Burton, though?
Because LeVar Burton was on Star Trek.
Star Trek.
He was Geordie LaForge.
Oh, okay, I see. Sorry.
Elon knew where I was going.
LeVar
He was picking
Burton.
up what I was
I
putting down.
just read in the news. I was like,
No. LeVar Burton is safe. Unfortunately, we've lost second generation Chekhov, which is devastating, not only because he was 27 and it's a tragic loss of life and it was an accident, but he was a fantastic Chekhov.
Yeah, and he was great in a lot of other stuff too.
He was,
a
yeah.
weird,
He's really, he's great.
talented guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us imagined him as one of our characters.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah, he's a great character actor.
So, all right, Joe, I jumped. So go ahead, tell us what you're reading, what you're drinking.
Well, I already talked about what I was reading, but I have something special for what I'm drinking. This here, which you cannot see because it's not a transparent glass. Well, I'm drinking the no big deal, the official Drinkshares Tea.
Oh, do you mean this, Joe? This what I have right
Yeah.
here that I'm also drinking tonight?
Mhm.
Oh man.
Which
yeah,
you can
okay. Yeah, I gotta order some.
for 24 simple dollars. You can go to Adagio Teas and search Drinkshares and get our official brand tea, which Christine Brennicky designed herself.
Mm-hmm. And you can get other sizes too, if that's a little too steep.
Yeah,
for
I
your
actually got a
budget.
smaller
No,
one.
only by the. It has original. Becky,
It
leave
has to be the largest size.
There's
Yeah.
only one size. If you go to the website, it lies. They're all sold out. Only the big ones are left.
The tea is, yeah, I went with the bag because I didn't need the tin. I don't need more crap in my house.
And there's little tiny sample-sized ones that are kind of like about the size of like an Altoid container about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. This is actually my first time having it. Brenda tried it before me, and
Yay.
I think I made it a little too weak because I put it in this giant. I had put it in this giant jug because I was like, I'm gonna need all kinds of stuff to drink during this show. I think I should have made it a little stronger. It's good, and Brenda said that it would be good with a little sugar in it. But I think it's just the right amount of sweetness. So everybody's got their own opinion.
What are
And
all the
it
flavors
should
that
be
got
a
put in it?
good. Oh God, should I remember?
I know there's peach,
You guys
There's
stall, and I'll
peach.
pull it up.
because Karen and I love
Raspberry.
peach. Raspberry. Almond.
Like a citrus, like lemon, orange,
I got it here.
almond.
White peach, citrus mate, rooibos almond, accented with ginger, raspberry pieces, and corn flour.
Ginger.
And it's so pretty. Like, I can't open the tin and show you because it's loose. But, like, if you open it, it's, like, blue and
Yeah, I
pink
tried to
and orange.
evoke the,
Is that the
color
tin?
scheme.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the tin.
So you get the tin along with it?
That's why it's worth it to spend the
Then you can put
$24.
random stuff in there.
So cool.
You can put all your
Your pencils
books.
and little tiny notebooks.
No, that's awesome.
Well,
I'm
and the cool
designing a
thing
tea for my book, man.
The cool thing,
You should do it.
I spent the $24, which was, like, I intended to buy this, so I knew I was going to spend $24 off the top. But then I got some Irish breakfast tea, because I love really strong dark tea.
They give you samples.
I got some blackberry tea, and it was really affordable. I mean, you get like little bags, like you can get the pre-made ones, and it was like $5 or $6 or something like that. So it was really affordable. But I spent $39, and they were running some kind of special that weekend for Father's Day. Because I spent X amount of money, I got a special Father's Day blend, and then they threw free stuff in there. I got free cold brew samples of their like mango peach tea or something like that. So
Nice.
even if you spend a small chunk of money, you might end up getting free stuff, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think you almost always get something free when you order from them.
That's awesome. It reminds me of
things.
Wyatt gets stuff from Sweetwater.com for his music stuff, and they put candy in. Whatever you buy, they throw candy in.
That's
I
cool.
like that.
That goes into what we were talking about. We're trying to persuade Inkshares into slipping swag into the books that ship out, so that we can promote our books and other books. Because
People love getting something extra when they aren't expecting it.
And whenever you go like buy a record from like an indie record place, you always get like stickers and little postcards and doodads and cool shit. And it's like they should be doing that with our books. Like anybody, like when my book ships, anybody who wants to put some crap in the box with my book, like not to say crap. You know, whatever, your swag. Anybody who has some stuff at the Inkshares office, they could just throw whatever they want in there, because, you know.
I'll swing by there and just, like, dollar bills.
Yeah, we can send Elan to just, like, show up at HQ, and he'll take care of it for us.
Do you guys need swag like this? Like,
God.
official Drinkshares coasters, because we are awesome, and little postcards with our faces on them? Do you mean that kind of swag? I love how I'm totally prepared for this tonight, by the way.
You have so much gear.
Stuff lying around. I was ready for this episode. Which is funny, because this isn't even our marketing episode.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think everybody's gone around. We've talked about what we're drinking, what we're reading, and everybody's been introduced. So, let's get to the meat and potatoes of our segment tonight, which is talking about relaunching. And basically, this is for people who have already gone through the process once, okay? So if you haven't launched your book yet, you might not have any idea what we're talking about yet, but this is still good stuff for you to know, because you might end up in a situation where it doesn't go as planned and you end up having to do a campaign later down the line, which isn't a big deal. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means something went wrong, something needs retooled, and that's what Elan's going to talk to us about tonight, are the trials and tribulations, what he learned, what he would do different, and how he's going to be successful in the future, because we all believe in Elan because he's amazing.
Oh,
So,
you guys.
so Elan, let's talk a little bit about, first off, we know that you came to Inkshares because they actually reached out to you.
Mm-hmm.
What actually made you decide that you were ready to do a campaign? Okay, so you're like, okay, I have this idea, I'm ready for this. Like, what was going through your mind when that decision happened?
Cool. So this is a great question, because I was not ready and I had no idea I was going to do it. Inkshares reached out to me a little over a year ago with a request to review Abomination, Gary Whitta's book. And my blog was small. It still is pretty small, but I was super flattered, and I was like really engaged with them, and I told them to please keep in touch, etc., etc. And so I just sort of kept surfing the site, and when they launched the Ideas tool, which lets you tweet with a hashtag @Inkshares, and then they'll just add it to your account, I saw a tweet that made me upset, disparaging the Israeli-Palestinian conundrum. And I'm an Israeli, and we don't have to get into that. If you'd like to talk to me about it, reach out. I'm really happy to have like really honest conversation about the situation in the Middle East.
That sounds like excellent after-show discussion, since we are not drinking tonight.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, we did that on one of the other after shows.
Long story short, my feelings are that there's just a lot of different stories being told that convolute the sort of honesty that's going on the ground, which is that a lot of people don't want to be hurt. And I saw a tweet that just said like incredibly hurtful things about Israelis, and I took it to heart, and I was like, you know what? There are different stories to tell about this, and I came up with this idea on the fly of a little girl in Sderot, which is a very close, the city closest to Gaza in Israel, and Gaza. So a little girl in Sderot and a little boy in Gaza who share a single consciousness, and then they like find each other, and it gets to be like an exciting adventure sci-fi story. But the premise was that there would be two people on opposite sides of this, seemingly intractable conflict who need to unite, and what might just happen as a result. So I put that idea up, and I got an email from Adam Gomelin shortly after that said, hey, your idea is really good, man. You should consider like turning that into a book. And I was like, thank you. I'm very flattered. And then the next thing I know, the Sword and Laser contest, right? Was that the one that I was trying to get into? Anyone remember?
I think
No,
so.
it was the Nerdist.
It was the first Nerdist contest. The first Nerdist contest.
You were.
I was in first place for like 5 weeks, I think. I was like ahead of the pack. I had not written a word of this story. I had
This
an
is
idea.
revisionist history. You were not in first place for 5 weeks.
I was
It
in
maybe-
first place for 2 weeks.
Maybe like 2 weeks.
3
maybe.
weeks. 2
But I remember that contest because I was fighting in that.
So I was in first place for a little while, and I hadn't written any of the story, and I was spending all of my effort marketing in the exact same channels over and over again every day, all day. And it was exhausting, and I was getting like really fatigued, just like mentally and emotionally, from begging the same 600 people for their $10. And I started to wake up really early to try to write the book in the mornings, and I managed to get like 2 chapters written before work during the contest, and the contest just sort of like took off without me, and by the end I was not even in 10th place. But I just like wasn't ready to launch, and I was so happy to have been encouraged to launch because it got me to know so many people. Like I was chatting with all of the other contestants on Goodreads, and we were like getting to know each other, and it was really inspiring. But I was definitely not ready. Not in the slightest.
But you have to admit that you still learned a lot. So like the
Oh
process
my god, of course.
was valuable. even
Yes.
though it didn't end the way you wanted it
Yes.
to.
Where, out of curiosity, where did you end up at the end?
I had 92
Pre-order
pre-orders, I think.
Oh wow.
And I had stopped marketing after the contest wrapped up. I stopped, but left the book up for pre-order until I decided that I just wanted to take it down. And the reason I wanted to take it down was because, well, two things happened sort of simultaneously. One was that there was a bit of a conflagration in the Middle East. There was increased violence in Gaza, and between the Israelis and the Palestinians in Gaza, and I just felt like I couldn't write the story. It was too close to home, and it was difficult for me to get into the proper mindset to tell that story, and I wanted to do the story right, and I decided that I wanted to relaunch the campaign when I had a completed manuscript, whenever that time is, because I certainly haven't done anything on it since.
So do you think that relaunching it's going to be a reason for you to do it, or that you just, like, would you relaunch it back as a draft? Would you go straight back into a campaign? What would you do with it?
Well, so I have like 300 or so followers on it, and there was a lot of interest in the community because it's kind of a controversial topic. It sort of like spoke for itself. The pitch was really strong. People were very intrigued based on shared consciousness, Israeli-Palestinian, like these really intense buzzwords that were evoking a lot of emotion in my readers and friends without a lot of effort on my part. So I think that I could feasibly launch it again, but I would want much more of the book done before I do that. And that's not going to be true for everyone. Some people are like, yeah, man, I'm going to write this book while I'm campaigning, and that is bold and good for those people.
Strongly
And then
recommend
they regret it.
But like that, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you guys have day jobs, but like,
What's a day job?
right? Like we all have day jobs.
No, I literally
with
don't.
the exception of Becky because she's a teacher, and that's awesome. Just
Well,
straight up.
thank you.
No jokes about that. Being a teacher requires that you make an enormous sacrifice in terms of your financial security, which is
Exactly.
insane.
Yeah. Especially in Illinois right now where there's no
For the
budget.
privilege of being treated like garbage these days, unfortunately.
And you end up working
My
like
cat
10,
is trying
12
to eat
hours
the
a
corn.
day.
Yeah, that's what people don't understand, Kara. Whenever people give me lip about, oh, it must be nice to have summer off, I'm like, huh, it must be nice to go home at 5 o'clock every day.
Yeah, both of my parents teach. So
There
I
were
have-
days I didn't see sunlight because I had to leave so early to get to work, and I had to leave so late because I needed the copier or something, and there's a math rush right after school.
Yeah.
So, Elan, out of curiosity, what do your parents teach?
My dad teaches fine arts printing at the Masters of Fine Arts program at UCLA,
Oh, wow.
and my mother teaches English at a college level at an art school in LA.
Did they teach, not elementary, but like, did they teach high school or anything before, or did they go straight into
My mom
college
worked
teaching?
as the administrator for a high school for a time, but in a teaching capacity, she's only done college.
Oh, wow. Still impressive.
She
Teaching college.
specializes in English as a second language, so
Teaching at college is even worse than teaching at the high school level because you get paid less than what we do, and you are expected to do research, and you have all these other obligations on top of teaching. And I know a lot of college professors from working at a community college I went to, and they get jaded very quickly. So.
yeah, it's tough on them.
Mhm. So we talked about one of the things you mentioned being that you were bugging the same 600 people over and over again. And so we definitely want to talk about what you learned and what you would do better next time. And I think the first thing you mentioned to us the other day was that don't abuse your connection. So why don't you talk, starting with that, talk about what you learned and what you would do differently next time.
Sure. So when the contest started, I thought to myself, okay, I have several social media presences. Facebook is the one where I have the most family and friends who I know in person. So I started by doing a pretty heavy barrage on Facebook, saying, you know, like, I need your help. You're going to make my dreams come true. No pressure, but this is like the biggest deal in my life, and if you don't help me, I'll be miserable.
And you won't get Christmas cards or presents anymore.
Yeah.
Or
man,
in your
like,
case, Hanukkah presents.
You don't even know, man. I'm not sending anyone no Kwanzaa, nothing. Like, if you don't buy my book, I will make such a sad face. Go buy it. And I got a lot of support, like a shocking amount of support for terrible marketing techniques. And then I started to leverage Twitter, on which I have some followers. I put it on my blog. But those people already were all super saturated with information about me funding this campaign within the first week. And even though I was still getting trickles of orders in from Facebook, it wasn't effective after the first, 15 posts.
So were you like kind of spam posting on
I was
Facebook
posting like
to the
once in the morning and once in the afternoon every day. Just saying, hey, just checking in. This is where I am in the contest. This is how many orders. Like, don't forget. Like, seriously, $10. It's like one coffee at Starbucks.
Sad but true.
But it kind of is actually, which is unreasonable. It's amazing that, and just like as an aside, that people are so willing to spend $10 on silly things. But a book, they're like, I don't know, man. But I could get like a mediocre burrito. And I'm like, a book is way better than a mediocre burrito, guys. Let's get a book instead.
It's true. I guess I could offer to buy people a cup of coffee. Buy a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
If you buy a book.
Yeah.
Well, I think people could be. I don't know if the book's good. Like, you don't know if someone's spitting a burrito.
Yeah.
Just saying,
In
you're
fact,
taking
they
a risk.
probably did. I'm not spitting in this book.
Yeah. I think a lot of times it's more the time than the money, because when people are cruising their news feed, they're kind of like vegging out, taking a break from being productive, so they don't want to be told to go do something.
True.
And that's their not doing something time.
The thing that really turned the heat up, I think, was starting to interact with other writers online. When I started to sort of cross-pollinate with other writers' communities, I started to see real traction. And I think that's one of the things that's really beautiful about Inkshares and the way this community is coalesced into like a powerful, hive-minded entity. Because it's been amazing for me just for my own brand and for the Warbler and for everything that I do just for myself. Like, selfishly, I'm really glad that this happened because it has totally changed the trajectory of my professional life. But I think that the critical thing is to not use up those connections of yours too soon. The ones that you can really rely on. Balance it out, because your campaign is going to be 90 days long, 40 days long, 45 days long, whatever it is, whatever it's going to be. You have enough time. You don't have to just like blast out the gate with 10, 20, 30, 70 orders in the first week.
Yeah, there's a dance to it.
Yeah,
like,
on your author page on Inkshares.com, when you're looking at your dashboard, you'll actually see their recommended trajectory, which is a very straight line. And if you look at your own, it's probably like, what is happening here? And that's pretty normal. But there's a reason why they have that recommended trend, because you want a few books a day consistently. Because if there's a huge lull, it's really hard to come back from personally. Because the emotional roller coaster that you go through as you're funding a book is a really powerful thing, and I think that you can't discount that.
I'm currently right there because I'm sitting at 51. And I haven't had a couple orders. I didn't have any this weekend at all. And I thought, okay, I'm going to come back from the weekend. I'm not touching my phone. I'm not going on Inkshares. Like, this is a vacation for me.
Yeah.
And I come back and not a single order. And I'm like, oh, God, what am I doing wrong? I should not have taken that break, Yeah. And I'm starting to see the dip. Like, it was on track, and now it's... And
you're like, oh, my God, it's happening. It's really happening. And you had that, like, big start out the gate.
Yep.
And you can't let that get to you because there's a lot that you can still do. I think that the next time I launch the book, I'm going to flyer in the area. I'm going to go out in public in real life and start to flyer a bit. I'm going to print out business cards and go to conventions and things like that. You don't have to have like a table at a convention the way that some other authors have. Like Jameson Stone is famous for like going all out, convention-wise. But being like, hey, I'm a writer too. Flip, 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 flip. Gambit, flip, flip. I think that would be really helpful. And finally, I'm going to advertise online. I'm going to spend some money on my campaign. If I really want to publish a book, I think I can't expect to not put more than just my emotion into it. I'm going to have to invest in myself a bit.
Make sure, before you pay for any advertising, make sure you have the message and the image.
Yeah.
It's like have a lot of thought put into it, because you don't want to, waste your money on
Yeah, like if you just have like a Facebook ad that has like a picture and it says buy this book, it's not going to work. But you say like, hey man, you need this for X, Y, and Z reasons. Like this will change your whole life.
Well, Elan, since you are a little bit more established in the after, like you're writing your book now, but you are also involved in the reading of the books and critiquing the books and things like that. Are there any specific sites or magazines or blogs or whatever that if we were going to spend money on an ad that are more trustworthy or more worthwhile than others?
Yeah, sure.
Would you recommend?
To be honest, I'm not that familiar with the book web at large. I've been trying to find sites like my own, and there seem to be a few like collectives of book review sites. There's a number of resources. I have some little icons on the bottom of the Warbler for sites that I've signed myself up with. Blogcaster, I think, is one of them, and then there's NetGalley. But NetGalley is specifically for books that are out, and they offer digital galleys for reviewers to get to. Yeah, I think that it just comes down to doing some research. Ricardo disagrees with me vehemently about online advertising, I see.
I can see both.
A lot of us have tried it and got nothing from it.
I think that
Why?
I think that people don't. So what I do in my day job is I work in online advertising, which I hate myself for, but I have a really good understanding of how this stuff works. And what qualifies as a good online ads campaign is not what you think. Like the click-through rates that you're looking for, the conversion rates that you're looking for, are all below 10%, because you know what it's like to see an online ad. You know how often you click on them. So don't be like 30% of the people who see my ad are going to buy my book. That is just unrealistic. I'm not talking about investing like $100 in ads, but just getting some visibility into it is really clear.
I don't even think 30% of the people that follow my book have bought my book yet.
Exactly.
Yeah. I read an article by a guy who was very successful with Facebook ads, and the main thing I took away from it was that they only started benefiting him when he had gotten past a certain number of books that he was advertising. Because I guess the idea is that for that small percentage of people that clicked through and looked at his books, there's a lot there for them to buy. And if he could hook people with like the first book free, then he'd sell another 5 books in the series.
Yeah.
And so that would really be worth it. And he was very successful that way.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us have 6 books out.
No.
So I don't think think Facebook advertising would work for me so well, except I'm remembering that I paid for one ad during the Nerdist contest because we had the coloring book out. And so I made an ad that said, get a free coloring book if you order my book with one of the coloring book pages. And I got a lot of clicks for that. I don't think I sold very many books. I actually don't know. But a lot. I got a lot more than I thought I was going to get.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
so give out free stuff in your ad.
Well, yeah.
For perspective on like the cost of doing this, like I think that if you put $20 into a Facebook ad, you get between 4,000 and 8,000 views, and that's a lot of eyes.
And another thing though, because I did one like whatever the cheapest ad you could do was, and it gave you like that number that you're paying for, but then once the data came in when it was done, I didn't actually get that many eyes on it. Mm-hmm. Like it came in under what they sold.
I've been running ads on occasion for like Warbler posts that I want to get additional traction, and with $20 I got like 3,000 extra views. It was incredible. Wow. It was highly effective.
Yeah, they give you the estimates, but it's no guarantee.
Yeah, sure. But so like I get it. I get that it's really like maybe you don't have what seems like a lot of money to throw behind this stuff, and it's frightening because you want the support of all these people. But I mean, like, look at the success of Tall Klein. He rocked the last contest. He just like skyrocketed to the top and stayed there. And I'm actually wearing the shirt that I won from this contest right now.
Oh, really? Nice.
By coincidence.
What does it say?
I don't even know. It says international transport to I can't read cursive upside down. Can you guys read it?
Departure journey. Keep talking, Elan, so I can see your screen.
Oh, hey,
arrival.
read my shirt.
Delight.
Read it. Read the shirt. What if
The dance was the best part of the show.
anyway, so it's definitely it's not an exact science, and it might not be for everyone. I'm going to do it with my next book, and that's my plan.
We're gonna watch you then. We're gonna learn from you. Are you gonna give away free stuff with your ads?
I may. I don't know what I have to give away, honestly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do I have of value I could give away?
Vials of blood.
No.
I could give away like little shavings of my teeth.
No.
Some
No.
beard,
Individual
hair.
beard hairs.
trimmings. Trim your beard.
I am growing a new beard. I used to have a big ol' nice beard. So by the time I launch that campaign, I'll be the big bearded guy again, and then it'll be a total thing. But yeah, I think that like there's more than your personal network that needs to be engaged. Advertisements are one way to do it. The bar to entry is not your time, it's your money. If you want to not invest money, you can go to a variety of social media, social networking sites like Reddit, whatever, put videos out on Venmo or on Vimeo and YouTube, like everything you can, like hit everywhere you can hit, and that investment of your time is that investment. You're investing in it in some capacity beyond the emotion you put into your writing. But as a lot of us have said, like, your book's quality on its own can only get you so far. Like, I love all these people's books, and I've seen books that I've thought the writing was great, and the message was there, and everything about it is something I really want to read, but because there's no campaigning behind it, it's not going to go anywhere right now. Like, for instance, there's a book that's funding right now that I want to tell everyone who's watching about because I think it's brilliant, and I've read the first 100 pages, and it was extraordinary. It's called Northern Divide, and it's by Wamuhu Moramura.
I have ordered it.
So good.
Yep, I ordered it too.
I want that book to make it so bad. But there's no, she's not doing any like marketing activity because she's like a super busy life. I think she's in the military. So like that. What do you do then when you've put all the heart into your book, but there's not?
Yeah, we don't
really
quite
like
have the on-site audience yet. Hopefully in the near future, but right now we don't have the kind of audience that's just perusing books without any prompting whatsoever.
That's okay, because it's
to get you to those numbers.
Yeah,
It's just us trolling it and looking for orders and
It's us ordering each other's books right now. Okay, so we know what you feel like you didn't do well, but we know that you're a talented guy and you're very resourceful and capable. And one of the things you talked about was playing to your strengths. So what do you think, A, you did right, and do you think that there are certain strengths that all writers in general might have that we could play to help our campaigns, whether they're funding the first time or the second time around? So what strengths do you believe that you played to or anybody in general could play to?
That's, I mean, another excellent question. I think one of the plagues of many writers is that we think we're terrible all the time. I'm not talented. I'm not worthy. I don't have any strengths. I sit here behind this desk and mope onto a typewriter, and eventually words come out. But I think that, thank you. I think that the subject matter was really evocative, and I have a lot of friends who feel really strongly about the topic that I chose. I was playing to the emotional resonance of my topic, and that might not be available for everyone, but it certainly was working for me. Like I would tell people in private conversations, like, I'm sick of the stories being told in the media about this. Like it does a disservice to Palestinians and to Israelis that these are the only things that so many people know. And even though my story will be another story, at least it's one from a different perspective, and it might not describe with any sort of capital T truth what's happening in the region, but it's one truth and it's one perspective that you're not going to get from CNN.com or Al Jazeera.
Yeah, and
that's a really interesting topic, I think. The way you talk about your book with different people, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking there are totally, like, for a certain set of people in my life, I talked about my book in this way because I knew that's what would connect with them. And then with other people, I talked about it in a completely different way because I knew that's what would connect with them. And I'm realizing that I could probably stand to be a little more intentional about the way that I write my marketing copy.
Yeah, and so I think that plays neatly into the second thing that I was going to say, which is we're all writers, presumably, and that's what I consider to be my strongest suit. I don't consider myself a great oral communicator. I think I'm a much stronger writer than talker. But I think that this is something that I learned from John Robin when he sent me the short ebook prelude to his book, which I read, and I was like, A, this dude can write, B, this sounds awesome, C, I want his book. So if there's any kind of like companion material, like just I've written short stories on my blog. I have a blog. It's really helpful to have so people are familiar with my writing style and my voice. To give people a taste for what they can expect from your book, what they can expect from a few hundred pages worth of what you have to say. So having kind of supplemental writing materials for people to experience, I think, is going to be really helpful for everyone. Which Inkshares already like helps you do, right? You have your chapters you can put on the site. You can share them with people to their email inboxes. The only issue with that, and Joe and I have talked about this with a number of other Inkshares writers, is that I and like millions of other people have a really hard time reading long-form content on a computer screen. I'd much prefer to do it on my Kindle or to like have something printable. And when I get an email from Inkshares with a large text formatted full chapter, I typically don't read it because it's a long email. So I think that there's a difference between just putting more chapters up and having like supplemental written materials that you can send to your backers or to people who might be interested.
I think there's definitely a generational issue with that too.
Totally.
I've noticed like the few times I have shared chapters that I'll hear from older relatives that they read it, and they're like the only ones.
Yeah.
So it's the right size for them.
I've been pulling a lot of content and just like putting it onto my Kindle, running it like from, it's a really convoluted scheme, but it's like copy it off of like Inkshares, get it into Scrivener, turn it into a Kindle file, and then read it, and that's the only way I can read it because there's too many things going on the computer. I can't just like sit and like read it. I get distracted. But and when I'm sitting with my Kindle, I can be sitting in the bed. I can be sitting on the couch. It's like when I'm unwinding at the end of the day. It's a perfect time to read this stuff. And I don't know the specifics. I haven't done a lot of development with the Kindle. It would be so good if, and this is just me like shiny light spitballing of like, how nice would it be if you could just like, get like a nightly or like a weekly like dump of like, hey, here's a bunch of like excerpts in Kindle format that like are delivered to your Kindle. Like, check them out. Maybe there's one you want to pre-order.
They could come along with the book cover, maybe.
That'd be nice.
And then people can flip through it and pick the ones they want to read. That's a really good idea.
I would like that.
I actually, there's a secret that some of you may know, but I once interviewed to work at Inkshares.
Yeah, we knew that. I think we may have talked about that on the Draft Fest.
We probably did. But while we were interviewing there, they asked me some questions about like what I would change, and one of the things I said was provide an easier way for people to read samples, and I mentioned having like a sampler, like download sampler of chapters released this week. That would be so rad. It would be so rad. It would be rad. Yeah. Sad. Do it.
I bet it's on their extremely long list of things.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's like 7 people. 3 of them develop full time.
Not good enough. Don't care. Those sound like excuses to me.
I don't know, man. If they hired me, they'd
pushing out so many things. It's amazing, though.
It might be difficult. Yeah, it might be difficult to implement. So that's why I've just kind of resorted to just dumping the stuff by myself and putting it together.
But yeah, so like if you so bringing it back to how you can help with your campaign, if you're putting chapters up on Inkshares, you presumably have them written elsewhere. Put them together into a format that's really easy to download and include a link to that in your reader updates. Say, do you want this in a Kindle format? Bam, here's a link at the top of the email. And then you have a very simple thing for people with short attention spans to tap and just get straight into their devices. Because I will read your 2,000-word chapter in a heartbeat on my Kindle or on my phone if I have it in the right format.
And you don't even need to have pay for a host or anything like that. If you have a Dropbox account, every Dropbox account has a public folder that you can get web accessible links that are essentially available to anybody who has the link. Just put, that's what I did with all my samples. Anybody who pre-ordered my book, I just put the stuff in there, and then hey, here's the link. I know you pre-ordered from me, so here's the link.
Yep.
Grab it. Here's I got it in EPUB, Mobi, PDF, whatever format works for you.
And if you guys don't want to do that, I have a server. I have a web server because I build websites also. I'll put your book up, and I'll give you a link. I'm willing to help.
Well, and you can do the same thing with Google Drive, I'm sure.
Totally.
Because you can make a Google Drive folder public. So as
there
long
are
as
a ton of free options that can help you do this. That's absolutely the case.
Yeah, and so because when I put out my chapter last Friday, I think it was, it wasn't even a chapter. It was just a little short supplemental bonus story. But I think I made it 2.5 pages at most because I put some visual stuff up because that's what I really wanted people to see. And then here's a really short one shot of some stuff that's not in my book, but it has to do with stuff in my book. That's what was bonus material. But I do.
Joint story.
What's that?
The juke joint story.
Yeah, the juke joint story. I even watched The Color Purple to see a live juke joint. I know it was a movie, but I was doing all kinds of research on Robert Johnson and juke joints and proper terminology and what people wore and stuff like that. So that was fun this week.
That's awesome.
But, yeah, I kept it short because, like you said, if I sent a 1,000-page chapter or story, nobody would be like, "Yeah, that's nice. Click, bye. I got stuff to do."
Yeah, this is not a sample. This is a third of your book.
Yeah.
So there's another. No, I forgot. It went out of my head. Gone.
Sorry.
Well, speaking of a third of your book, that's what I have posted right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to post the first half, but I was working on editing it as I was campaigning, and it got to the point where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I need to either campaign or I need to edit, and I decided to campaign.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't try to write. Don't try to write when you're trying.
Don't try to write your books.
You will die.
Yeah, that's I didn't write any of my book.
Your crops will die. Your family will abandon you.
Yeah.
No,
Just don't do it. But I'm thinking, I'm getting more of the book done, to a point where I could, to the point where I'm definitely gonna send it to beta readers. So I was thinking I could post 3 more episodes. My book is in episodes, like a TV series, yes. Or like Star Wars. But not the same because they're not each individual movies, but still. So I could post the first 6 instead of the first 3, and you could read the first half of my book if you wanted. Do you think anybody would want to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to, if I can pull it and put it in a thing where I can consume it easily, I'm all over these books. I actually want to carve out more time. I'm trying to find ways to, carve out more time where I can get where I can sit down. I'm trying to make pulling files, putting them on my Kindle, and sitting around reading lots of samples from Inkshares, my go-to thing for when I have idle time. I'm just trying to get the system down to get them all in, so I can I want to eat all these stories. We have this with Inkshares. We have this smorgasbord of words, and I want them all.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta smell all the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't read other people's stuff until I get the book, though.
Yeah,
I'll read enough to know that they can
be able to
write,
finish it.
and then I want to read it all at once.
Totally. I will
don't wanna
read the
get
stuff that's
hooked and then have
on
to wait
your
for,
landing
a year.
page. I'll read the excerpt of the prologue or chapter 1 that's on your cover page. I'll read your reader updates to see how you're communicating, and I'll make 90% of my judgment based on that.
Hey, we have a question.
Oh, yeah, Joe hasn't been fielding questions tonight.
Elena says,
This is the
what
first one.
advice do you have for those of us who are funding and editing? Simultaneously, I'm assuming?
So we, as Ricardo says, our consensus here is don't. But if you are, I would say that the best thing you can do for yourself, for your sanity, is to schedule your time, right? You have time that you're focused on funding, you have time that you're focused on editing, and those are separate. Maybe you're funding during the week and you're editing during the weekend. Whatever it is that you do that helps you balance your time best, because the thing that you cannot do is run yourself into the ground. Because
You don't want to
you
burn
still,
out.
yeah, you don't want to burn out. A lot of people do. We've seen it happen over and over again with the funding, and it's just a matter of giving yourself the space you need and not pushing yourself too hard. I think we all have really high expectations for ourselves and for our books, and we want so desperately to succeed and to put our book in front of readers.
I think that's an ingrained thing within writers, because we have this, so many of us, we've talked about this before, deal with the imposter syndrome. And so we truly believe in our hearts that A, we are our only fans, and B, that if we don't, we are the only person that's going to believe in this book. So if we can't go out there and basically do everything we can to make it have its best opportunity, then if that doesn't happen, we're complete failures. Yeah. So I think that's really hard. So you have to be that way as an author.
Yeah, and it's so hard because, I think almost all of us are first-time authors. And, up until now, when you've written, there was no anxiety connected to other people reading it. You're just doing it yourself. The pressure's non-existent. And then once you start crowdfunding, it becomes this massive reality. Other people are reading this, and they're going to read the rest of it, and that affects you during the writing process at that point.
So this kind of connects to what, there's one more thing that we talked about in our outline discussion, which was what was your mindset that you struggled with following closing your campaign, the ending of your campaign, essentially failing at your campaign. Because everything that we've gotten to right now is this idea that it's a big emotional investment, and there's a lot of kind of pain associated with it. Sorry if you heard that. Saw, my girlfriend, is such a badass, and she's cutting wood outside.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love her. So we go through this thing where we're like, oh my god, I'm a failure. My writing is never going to get seen by anyone. What did I do wrong? Maybe I shouldn't ever try again. And I struggled with those feelings of personal disappointment and harsh self-judgment during my campaign and afterward. And then one day I stopped and I was like, how much cursing can I do on this show?
All of it. Do all the cursing.
Yeah.
This is not a family show.
No.
We're not right brain. You don't have to be sensitive.
We won't bleep you.
Yeah. We are classy like right brain.
We are not endorsed by Inkshares officially.
Which I'll pitch later, we also don't curse. But there was a moment that hit me where I was like, holy fucking shit. So many people were like, this guy's a writer. 92 people believed in that enough to give absolutely no evidence their money. Anyone gave to this idea that I had, and that is so absolutely mind-bogglingly wonderful. It's so much bigger than the disappointment of failing this one campaign. It's like everyone's first book is supposed to suck, except Pat Rothfuss. Whatever, right? So a lot of people just say, get the first one out of there because it'll only get better from there. And on my first try of anything, enough people threw their support behind me that I have a network of new friends. I have a whole bunch of new followers on my personal platform. My personal brand has grown tremendously, and I believe in myself more than I ever have, even though I failed and because I failed. And so I think it's about just look at the fact that you did it as a huge achievement, because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of emotional effort, a huge commitment to believe in yourself enough to click that button that says start selling pre-orders.
Yeah, it's almost more
really
helpful
sappy
to look backwards at what you've done already than it is to look forwards at the goal.
Yeah, it's a little sappy and a little ridiculous, but I fully believe it. I feel much more like a writer for having failed at that campaign than I ever had previously.
So, Elan, let's recap really quick. Let's give your 3 biggest pieces of advice for someone who is either in the campaign process now or is thinking about relaunching because they had a less than successful campaign. So 3 things that they absolutely need to do.
Don't abuse your personal connections. Expand the network that you advertise on, either financially or personally. That can mean posting on Reddit regularly or whatever, or buying advertising if that's something you feel comfortable with. And the third is budget your time. Be really serious about scheduling yourself. Don't obsess over checking. Set yourself a time of day that you'll check, but stick really closely to a schedule so that your life stays manageable and you're not constantly refreshing the page.
I think that's just great advice in
Great,
general
yeah.
on the scheduling. Just the more organized you can be, and I know not everybody is. It's
I have a hard time
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah,
Like, really
it's
hard time with it.
it's something you work at. Trust me. I was a lot less organized before I was a teacher, and it was like baptism by fire, and I just became organized, and in a way that I am organized, not like other people. Like it's organized chaos is the best way to put it. But
Yeah.
so this is the point of the show where we get to drunk opinions, but since so few people are drinking, I'm not sure we're going to have any of them. We didn't have any 3-beer ideas from Joe tonight.
Kristen, you might have some opinions for us.
For people who've been watching and I've been jumping in and out, my son was
I
downstairs.
do have an opinion after Joe.
Yeah, I totally have an opinion. My son
Right.
bonked his head, and like he had this big bruise on the side of his head, and I was like kind of going in and out and checking on him. So I haven't had any profound opinions because like half of me is in dad mode. I just wanted to say something, and this is not related to the topic, but it's drunk opinion, so it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be. And it just like I just got a notification on my phone when I was at the store with Miro earlier today, and I just got so mad. And I'm just gonna say it. Don't fucking follow me on Inkshares or don't fucking follow me on Twitter if you're just gonna try to sell me some shit. If like you are not interested in me, don't fucking follow me. I understand that it's just like most of these people are paying for services that just like look for keywords and like follow like blanket follow everybody. But geez, most of my followers are just people who want to sell me shit. And like they see that like I'm a writer, and they're like, boy, he's a writer. He'll probably want to buy my book. Listen, if you don't want to interact with me, don't bother. Don't follow me. Leave me alone. I'd rather have 5 followers on Twitter than have 100 that don't give a shit who I am. Don't bother. That's it.
Damn.
Good drunk opinion.
All right, you need to slam something on the table.
Now tell us about all those kids who need to get off your lawn.
Well, listen, it drives me nuts because you just got those numbers, and like I don't care if the numbers are high. I want quality content. I want to engage with people. I want to talk. And you can follow me and talk to me, and like anybody who's watching this, anybody from the Inkshares community, anybody outside of the Inkshares community. If you want to engage with me, do it. We can talk about everything. If you just want to follow me and you have no intention of ever engaging with me ever, don't bother.
Well said.
I love it. I'm a marketer, and I hate it being marketed to. So
Everybody hates being marketed to. That's one of the qualities of millennials, isn't it? We hate being marketed to.
we certainly
don't like
do.
being sold stuff. We like passionate, sincere recommendations from people who are fans whose opinions we trust, but we don't like companies trying to sell.
Yeah,
You don't know me.
to get all up in our
You don't know what I
hashtags and our
want.
emojis. I'm sick and tired of corporations using emojis to communicate via
There's
hieroglyphs.
that one car commercial right now with the emojis, and it's
Oh
awful.
yes, I think it's a Chevy commercial.
What are you guys doing?
I only
Pandering.
buy
It's called pandering. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I only buy products
Not well.
that are recommended to me by YouTube streamers or people on Vine. So like if you're not like if it's not like a bubble gum that somebody on Vine is chewing, I don't want it.
I mean, I judge everything based solely on the opinions of social influencers.
Yeah.
I
Whatever
don't make
they
decisions
think
for
that-
myself.
It has us.
Oh yes.
What do you call it? Social influencers? Is it influencers?
Just
Influencers.
the
Yeah, we have
ranked
rankings.
influence.
We have some high-ranking people here.
Yeah, we've got a superstar
Yeah.
in the group.
You'll never guess who it is.
Internet cookies for the first person to figure out which one it is.
I'll give you a clue. It's not who you think it is.
Elon, what rank are you?
37.
Oh, I had no idea. I thought you would be.
I used to be really high up there. I was really active, and my trolling of Inkshares had to take a back seat because my blog just started taking up so much of my time. It was interesting. I visit Inkshares about twice a day now, instead of
I don't
literally
think
all
it's
day long.
an activity measure though.
Yeah, because what Jeremy said on the forum was that it's whether you purchase books that go on to be the best sellers of the
Oh,
year.
that being the case, my profile is super gangster. So it's thuggish ruggish.
Wow.
Well, I think
Uh,
the numbers. I think the
Kristen, before
numbers
you
change
forget-
tomorrow.
I
think
wrote
they
down
do.
my
Oh yeah.
advice.
Okay, you read it.
Yeah.
I think every
I
Tuesday
would have
they.
forgotten.
I think every
Uh,
Tuesday they recalculate. So
We'll see, maybe because I did Abomination.
Mine did change for like a few hours,
Oh,
Yeah, mine's
really?
gone up and down.
so it's true.
Oh.
Christine, get your drunk opinion out before we start
Alright.
talking again.
Well, it's not really a drunk opinion. It's an opinion. Alright, so this is not directed at any individuals. Definitely not anyone that is currently funding. This has been an opinion I've had for many months
I'm already
in
offended.
the community. So, like, when you're reaching out for advice from other people, and if someone takes their time to give you a whole lot of advice that's really thoughtful and varied, like different techniques to use, don't go down those techniques and give a reason for why you won't do each one and end up with zero advice to take.
Did somebody do that?
I've seen it around.
That's what people do. They ask you for advice and then tell you why it's bad advice, and you're like, well, then don't ask.
And I'm not
Seriously,
saying
fuck
that
you.
all advice is good. Some of it isn't. But if someone's really like clearly taking their time and breaking things down and giving you options, don't say no to every option. Find something in that, you know.
Or
in
if
that
you
advice
disagree,
to
just
take.
say thank you. Like, there's
Or
no
say
need to be a
thanks,
dick
yeah.
about it. Like, thank you for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to give me advice. God damn it.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's not hard, people.
I fully am inflamed by that point.
I don't
and
know what you guys are
feel
talking
you
about.
so hard.
Everybody who is funding on Inkshares or writing a book or a draft or anything knows everything there is to know about writing. So I don't know why you guys all feel like you're better than everybody, but I don't appreciate it. Well, since it's the time of night where I'm getting sassy, you know what that means. Tonight, I have two pieces of unsolicited advice for my friends out in Viewerland. One of them is very nice. The other one is one I want to take a little bit more seriously because I think it's a problem that's been going around Inkshares, and I want to nip it in the bud because it's not cool. First off, buy these pens. They're awesome. If you are a person who doesn't write by hand, fix it. It's cathartic.
Could you please describe the brand of the pen for when we do our audio version?
A lot of Papermate pens are InkJoy right now. They've been advertising them. I bought some free like loose ones at Walgreens the other day to test them out because I'm a pen snob. These are really smooth writing and they're dark for the lighter colors, which is awesome. So
can you describe the grip? Is it like cushion?
The grip isn't super squishy. It's the shape in itself just is very comforting to the hand. I don't know how to describe it. It's just the thickness of the pen is very nice, so I don't find myself like pressing hard, and I have a problem.
Is it just me, or is there both a blue and a teal in that?
There is. Oh, these aren't even close to the number of colors you can get. The ones I bought at Walgreens the other day are actually teal, dark blue, lime green, and dark blue. And the dark blue is like you can see the writing. I'm moving it because I don't want any people reading it because I don't even know what it is right now.
Nice.
But it's very fluid.
Doing wonders
Screen
for
caps
my
later. Analyzing your writing.
state.
I actually think that part of it was something I was doing for Paul, so I don't want it to get out too much. But the reason I'm telling you to buy these pens is because I really like them, and every time I find a pen I like, they stop making them. Go
This is
out and
true.
buy these pens.
Buy a
Get
million
them
of
for
them.
school. Get them for work. I don't care. Get them to carry around in your purse so you can scratch off stuff in your grocery list. I don't care. Buy them because I want them to keep making them. Second, I'm sorry, there's three things. Buy our tea. It's awesome, and it's Drinkshares official. And Christine worked really hard and made really delicious tea, and I can vouch that it is
Very hard.
She did. She slaved over that keyboard.
Mhm.
She put out a poll that had like 53
I did
different
actually.
options. Okay, people, she worked hard.
Yeah.
So
There were
polls going.
Buy our
There's so
tea.
many options that she ran out of available space for options.
Yes. The poll
Oh
did
my
not
gosh.
contain
Yes,
the
she had to
option.
do 3 separate polls on Slack. Okay,
And it still wasn't enough.
only our real fans will buy this, so we'll know. And Christine can see who's buying.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and if-
She-
No, I can't. But,
Shh,
but
they don't need to know that.
I can see where you live.
We can,
but not your name.
We won't know who you are, but we'll know where to find you. So anyway, Buy pens.
Are we gonna do an episode on like marketing and promotional
Yes, that is coming
materials?
up. We'll talk about that in a minute here.
Okay, cool. Because that just like looking at that tin with our logo on it and everything, making me think like, oh man, that's such a cool thing.
Yeah, that's actually one of the next 2 episodes.
cool.
I don't remember which, but one of them is going to be about marketing and stuff. Because Christine and I have kind of been on like a kick of marketing stuff. The last thing I want to talk about. Yeah, there's more to come. Last thing I want to talk about before we talk about any future episodes is I think a kind of serious thing happened over the last week, and I just want to address it because I feel like there might be a group of people that are being victimized by it and might feel that they would be throwing other people under the bus by saying anything about it. Inkshares is a community that I love being a part of, and I know that people get very passionate about selling their books. We've talked a little about the different less than classy ways that people go about trying to push their books, and I get it. Everybody wants their book to be published. Just remember that when you get involved with things that are seedy, where people are tricking systems or just trying to find ways to get money to buy books, to get other books published, you're really hurting Inkshares when you're doing that. And even worse, you're hurting the community when you're harassing people to buy your book or to do promos for you or to do free work for you. Everybody's time is valuable. Everybody works hard. Everybody loves their book. Just because someone isn't going out of their way to, at a drop of the hat, to do everything they can to push your book doesn't mean they don't like you or your work. It just means that they have stuff that they have to do, or they're trying to show various like fanmanship to books. So if you are harassing people or pressuring them or in any way being a douchey fucking tool, stop it. Because we will find you, and we will at least kick you out of Goodreads. Because it's not fucking cool, people. Stop it. And I can say that because we're the moderators of Goodreads. So watch your shit. That being said, don't be douchey tools. We love our community. We're very proud of our community. We work really hard to make it a safe place for people to not feel like they're excluded. So don't find reasons to kick people out of the community or to push them out.
Yeah.
And I think that I haven't checked yet, but I think John made me a moderator of the wider indie author Goodreads group.
Yeah,
so
he did.
Ooh.
I saw that you were a moderator.
Joe's a big
Don't
deal.
harass people. We're everywhere.
Right. Yes, there's like
I'll
big
kick you out of
difference
the
between self-promotion and full-blown harassment. And a lot of people will like leave the site if that's the kind of thing that's going on, and we can afford to have people leaving because of that.
It's fine for people to see
Inkshares
like a means to an end of their book getting published, but that's really fucking selfish. In a place that's designed to bring the notion of self-publishing to an elevated state and to provide people who would have put all that energy into self-publishing into a higher quality product with a huge community supporting it, marketing activities, all the benefits of a real publisher because they're a real publisher. And if you abuse them by figuring out, I guess, pre-order chains with credits and shit like that, like, this company is living paycheck to paycheck, and they really want to put our books out. And even though we're trying to save each other money, it really sucks for them when they're paying 60% of the cost of overhead on a book that doesn't sell any copies beyond the ones that they printed.
Well, and we tease them because there's only 7 employees, but there's a reason there's only 7 employees. Like, I think they hired their first one in a really long time just recently.
Yeah.
So just remember,
Atlanta's very nice. They're all very nice people.
This is their dream too, guys. And the only other thing I want to say about that is, if you are a person who is being victimized by one of these people who are harassing you, please, for all of us, report it.
Yeah.
People at Inkshares
report if you're being harassed.
Would be more than willing to help you out. They're not gonna, they're not gonna think less of you or think that you're being whiny or a diva or anything. Like, if you know there's something going wrong, and you want it exposed because you care about this company as much as we do, because this company is doing us a favor. They're going to print our books for free. They're not asking us to like pay money to like put stuff out there for them. They're like, oh, enough people like your book, well, we believe in it too. So here's your opportunity, okay? Not a whole lot of companies are willing to do that. So if you want to keep a good company around, don't screw them over. Yeah. And and make sure when things are getting screwed over, you stand up and have integrity and know what's right and wrong, and you don't participate and you report it. And I'll put it out there right now. If anybody out here watching this knows of something that's going wrong and like doesn't want to be the tattletale, I don't care. I'm a bitch. I don't care. Let me know on Twitter. Let me know on Goodreads. Let any of us know. You know, and we talk with people at Inkshares. They know our faces, so it's not like some complete stranger going up and saying, you know, bitching about something because it's not going their way. So if you're not comfortable doing it, reach out to one of the authors you know is, and we'll do that for you, because we don't want anything bad happening, Inkshares. Okay, enough bitching and moaning. Enough me going on a tangent. Okay, so any lasting advice you want to leave that you didn't have a chance to say, Elan, before we go for the evening?
Yes, and it's going to be of a totally different tone, guys. So
fantastic.
for the marketing phase.
We don't want to end on that really dark tone.
So, part one of Elan's advice. Go to www.thewarblerbooks.com and subscribe so that you can get all of the crazy awesome things that I have to say about books. I like books. I rarely hate books. You will like what I have to say about books. I am great.
Elan, do you say these things on some form of blog? Is
yes.
that what the Warbler is? Okay.
The Warbler is my blog. It's a blog.
So it's definitely a blog?
Some would call it a blog.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's go to the Warbler, do that ish. It'll be great for all of us. Follow it on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter @WarblerBooks. If you want to talk to me personally on Twitter, I'm @BonBonElan.
Elan.
And okay, that's part one. Part two. I am currently an apprentice editor with an editing company called Story Perfect Editing Services. That is run by John Robin. So, everyone needs their book edited. Everybody. Even editors need editing. So if you want to learn more about the editing that's available, I recommend going to storyperfectediting.com. Also, I run a podcast with those people. It's called Write Right. You can find it on iTunes and on YouTube. So Write Right is the podcast that I work on. Number 3, I am one of the authors in the currently funding anthology, Too Many Controllers. If you have any interest in an anthology about video games by a bunch of Inkshares authors who you're familiar with, I highly encourage you to check it out. There's a lot of cool stories. My story, I'll just pitch it to you real quick, is a horror story about The Sims, wherein a Sim becomes self-aware because people keep dying in horrible ways.
Yes. Now I'm really excited about this because I was
you are all
avid Sims player.
You are going to love my story, and you are going to love everyone else's story. There are a lot of really good people in the anthology. Personally, I think you should also go check out the other entries in the video games contest. There are a lot of really good things going on in there. It seemed to all of us like a really odd topic at the beginning, and now that we're seeing all these books funding, I'm like, wait a minute, this is going to be great. Mm-hmm. So please go check out all the books. Please check out Too Many Controllers. Please support your fellow writers if you can, and don't feel guilty if you can't, because we all care about books a lot and they cost money.
Mm-hmm. We get it.
That's my advice.
Is it too early to talk about the rumor mill of a new possible syndicate?
Oh, shit!
Number 4.
Yes?
This is bonus advice.
So, if you go right the fuck now, you can go this moment to Inkshares.com.
Is it up?
It is up.
Yay!
It
You
is!
put Inkshares, and you can click on Syndicates, and if you scroll all the way to wherever mine is, I don't know
Probably
where
at
it
the
is.
bottom.
I think it's at the bottom.
If you have joined it yourself, you'll be able to see it.
I have joined it.
Did you guys hear the thunder right now?
That's the key. There's
The
some
thunder-
like invisible syndicates out there.
The Thunder was super amped about my Syndicate.
I was gonna say, I think the thunder just signed up for your
It
book
was
club.
Thor.
My
Thor was
Syndicate
excited.
is going to be cooler than Jeremy's Syndicate, and I will fight
This
him
is
for that.
this is gonna be huge.
Competition is a good thing.
Wait, whose idea was this?
This was Christine Brennicke's idea.
It was my idea.
And I decided to run with it because Christine was like, I don't actually want to do it. I'm
He's
really
like,
into
I
revisionist
really don't have
history.
time to do this.
So
You really
the
are.
Syndicate is called Inkshares Book Club, and it is a club that is designed specifically with readers in mind. And what we're going to be doing with this book club is we are going to be backing books that are already out
There it is.
every other month. Every other month, we'll back a book that's already out and discuss it like a book club in the Inkshares forum. I've spoken to the Inkshares leadership about this. They're all super amped. They're trying to actually build in some special technology into the syndicates that will allow this thing to be a bi-monthly syndicate, but in the interim, on the months that we are funding, that we're not purchasing books that are currently available, we will be backing funding books. So please consider joining the Inkshares book club. Every 2 months, we'll be talking about a new book that is out and available. It's going to be totally great. I have a really good feeling about it. And if there are people who aren't writers and who are readers, but you've talked to them about the Inkshares world, and they're like, okay, fine, cool. A lot of books are funding. What can I actually read? Send them to the Syndicate, because you do not have to buy into the Syndicate to take part in the conversation. That's a really important thing to me. If you want to buy into the Syndicate, that's awesome. I'm happy to have you in it. But if you want to just come for the conversation, that's why I want you there.
This is such a genius idea.
More than anything,
genius.
With the exception of my girlfriend and cat. I love books more than everything. and my family. I love books a lot, guys. I love books really, really a lot. And I just want to talk about them with people, and I want to hear other people's opinions, because I learn about my own writing and about reading from talking to others. So please check out, Joe just linked it in the chat, the Inkshares Book Club Syndicate. Tell reader friends to join it, or to just join Inkshares so that they can talk about books in the forum. I'm also totally happy to extend that conversation about books beyond the Inkshares platform, because just talking about books is super important. If we can bring people into the Inkshares forum to talk about books in general, then when people Google Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings and they land on Inkshares because we had something smart to say about it, that's crazy awesome. So, Inkshares Book Club, thanks for the reminder, Becky. I can't believe I totally blew that.
I can't take that because Christine put it in the chat.
Didn't even notice that either. Oh my god.
I'm always behind the scenes.
So, that being said, we're going to thank Elan here in a second, but it's time in the show for Joe to do his obligatory "If you love us, this is what you should do" part.
Oh yeah, if you do love us, we survive based on your views and your viewership, your participation, your love and good vibes that you send our way. So if you like watching us every other Monday, what you can do for us is let somebody know. You get somebody that you think might benefit from our shows. Send them a link over to our channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And the more people that come in and engage with us, the better the show gets, and the more we're able to do this. And we all enjoy doing it. We also have books to write and jobs to do and families to take care of, and this takes time away from that.
Especially when they choose to bludgeon themselves live on the air. Poor Joe.
Yeah. Sometimes your kids bash their heads. Fortunately, my wife is home tonight. Otherwise, I would not be on this. I would not be on the stream right now.
In Kara's case, they choose really inappropriate times to get sick because they're selfish.
No.
So if you like what we're doing, follow us on Twitter at Drinkshares LC, right?
Just wait.
Yes,
I'll probably go in the
LC.
favor while we're doing a show.
Oh God.
Tweet at us.
That will go viral.
We can do a show while I'm in the
That'll
hospital.
be the best marketing plan we could ever come up with.
Epic and intense.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Sorry, keep going.
No, I think that's about it tonight. So we really want to thank Elan Samuel for being with us. He gave some great advice. Definitely take what he said to heart, and don't get burnt out. Don't lose hope. Just because you didn't fund the first time, or for whatever reason you had stopped your campaign, doesn't mean there's not hope in the future. Maybe it just wasn't the right time because the right readers weren't there. And readership is growing, authorship is growing, the site is getting bigger every day. And Inkshares is working really hard to make a community of not just authors, but also readers who are looking for your book. They just haven't found it yet. So thank you, Elan. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. I hope Warbler gets
so much for having me.
1,000 million hits tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
When he does relaunch his campaign, or when he does put up his book, Tordeki 1694, am I saying that right? Okay, which is the book that he was talking about going to Turkey. It's an adventure story. It's going to be really awesome. It's like
historical fantasy, kind of.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Definitely follow that and buy copies of that as well. So we appreciate you guys taking the time join us tonight. We appreciate Kara taking time, considering her whole family is sick, and Joe almost had to go to the hospital. So thanks again.
And your power almost went out.
And my it didn't even flicker, but it's still lightning outside, so we'll see. But that being said, Christine, what is our episode next week? I'm sorry, 2 weeks from now.
Oh dear, I think that's our merchandising episode.
Is that merchandising?
Merchandising.
Okay. And then following after that, are we still doing the research?
We're skipping the 4th of July though, right?
We are
yes,
skipping the
important.
4th of July.
Yeah.
Important. Are we
The 4th
skipping
of
that
July.
week and taking a month, or are we doing another day?
Just to skip the week.
Okay.
Sounds-
Skip.
yeah.
So
I think that makes it so that there's like a 3-week gap or something like that.
yeah. So if you're on the cycle of knowing every 2 weeks, sorry, I got a hiccup. Anyway, if you're on the cycle of knowing every 2 weeks, make sure you write that down and know because you're going to be missing it. So adjust accordingly.
What we'll do is we'll put, once we get the dates scheduled, you can always, if you subscribe to the channel or just visit it, they'll always be there. So when you visit them on the YouTube channel, there's a little button where you can actually set a reminder for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll never miss out on it. You just press that little button and you'll be set. So we'll get those up as soon as we can. We'll tweet them. We'll throw them, if you're in the Slack group, we'll throw them in there. And you can join us for all the good times.
Yeah. Maybe hashtag Team Beckstein will do something special for that week. Maybe a little something. So, once again, we appreciate you guys joining us. And as always, may your drinks be shared.
Your drinks be shared.
Drinks be shared.
Have a good night, guys.